So, hey everybody, this is Kathryn Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and I have with me Asara Lovejoy, the author of the One Command and a Consciousness Educator, who has graciously agreed to join me tonight as we are discussing commanding confidence in challenging times, how to master your mindset and emotions so that you can thrive in any circumstances. How are you doing, Asara?
Hi, I am doing just great. No, don't get to go to the hairdresser, so
I
you got
know.
to do it on your own.
Someone mentioned that they said, "Oh, I don't know how to move these windows up," and I'm just going to go ahead and stop some videos so that the focus is on me and Asara. But someone said, "Oh, Kathryn, I love your hair so much. I just love your new style." I said, "Yeah, it's called I didn't make it to the salon before the shutdown. That's what it's called." But thank you for that. So, Asara, I just wanted to kind of frame this call tonight, okay? And then we're going to go from there. Let me see if I can do it this way. Let's see, do the speaker view. Yeah. And then this way, Asara will pop up. Okay, so Asara and I are going to show you exactly why. I don't want to call it a crisis, but I guess when we have a worldwide pandemic, it could be called that. So we're just going to go ahead and call it a crisis. Why this crisis is the key to your greatness and arriving and your ability to create your new wealth economy. So welcome, Asara.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm so happy everybody has joined us, and we'll also get to enjoy the replay. And we just want to up-level and uplift everybody's mind and state of mind and consciousness to realizing that none of us are separate, that we are all the same, that we are connected with each other, with one another, all around the world. And as we are in that connection, whatever we are processing, thinking, and feeling is having an effect on the whole world. And so when we come together in a meeting like this, in a collaboration like this, and focus in a certain way, then that has an imprint on the whole world dynamic. And we teach it all the time that what you think is reality. Thought creates in the physical world. So as we are going through this time together, what is the benefit of this crisis? Well, a couple of stories. So one woman was talking about the fact that now she's at home working. She has 2 extra hours a day that she didn't have before because there's no commute time. And she was saying that the psychology of it, the inner psychology of it, is so completely different than going out to a business, going out to your job and getting into your job mindset and doing your job at home, or if you're already retired, staying, sheltering at home with less contact than what you had before. And guess what? That leaves you with yourself. And when it leaves you with yourself, then you get the opportunity to see what's coming up, that you really get to process what's coming up.
Yeah.
So, Catherine, you want to jump on that?
No. Well, you and I have had the privilege of working from home for a while, right? And this
Yeah.
was a shift that, a lot of folks like us made, where we said, I want to be in control of my time and my energy and have that effect on the world. Like, what do I do? And how can I do it in a way that fits my life? Right now, 90% of the client, 90% of the world, up until now, their life has been built around someone else's agenda, someone else's schedule, someone else's wants, needs, and desires. And it's kept them in this really powerless spot. And it is a complete shift of, not just a, paradigm, but it's mindset. And one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight is you don't just have to have a new mindset, you've got to have a new mind. It's not enough to have that. So we're going to be talking about that. Asara, I want to be sure and let people know that at the end of the call tonight, we are going to be turning off the recorder, and for everybody who stays on the call, we're going to be doing a special one command session. Okay, we're not recording this. It's not going to be going out. And so be sure and stay on to the end. The other is, and I've mentioned this to some of the people before, if while you're on, here with us, we're 100% with you. We want to invite you to be 100% with us. And so shut down those other browsers. I've got my phone turned down, and I've got a notepad and pencil because that's active writing. And the thing is, there are so many little pearls that just kind of casually fall from Asara's lips, and mine too, because I'm so smart, right? But anyway,
Yes.
but little wisdom will come out. But also, we are sharing not just a teaching, but ideas and strategies that we're going to be showing tonight. Okay.
Yeah, good. So, one of the main, there's like three strong points that we want to really tap into tonight. And one of them is, or today, and one of them is how you are doing emotionally with with the pandemic. How are you doing with your finances with the pandemic? And how are you doing in taking care of yourself with the new psychology of how are you adapting?
Mm-hmm.
And so the focus of operating from the theta brainwave and a higher level of consciousness is not to watch the news, is not to get tapped in and caught into the reports of how many deaths there are and how many more people are sick, particularly in the United States when we have a president that's, I had somebody describe it as that person on the bus that's just babbling, and you kind of have to listen to him, and you smile at him, and then you just say, oh yeah, that's the person babbling on the bus. So we have a government right now that's like the person babbling on the bus, but
Mm-hmm.
we have other people in the states that have really great governments and governors that are helping to support individuals and people to really be safe
Mm-hmm.
and to take care of ourselves and to take care of yourself. And so rather than focusing on what is not working and what the threat is, we want to stay in that heightened state of awareness that I don't know how I take care of myself. I don't know how I stay healthy. I don't know how I am safe and secure. I don't know how I am virus free. So those are the attitudes and ideas of how you want to be managing your thinking and managing your emotions around the challenge of what we're going through right now. And by managing it, staying in a higher state of awareness, you get the absolute information that you need about where you should be and how you should be there. I was sharing with Kathryn that way back in November, before the pandemic, before the first outbreak, before any reports of any virus at all, I had just gotten this inner message to, this year I'm going to take a vacation from traveling to Japan, because I go to Japan every year in January and February. And I said, I'm just going to email them and say this year, for some reason, I'm taking a vacation from Japan. Well, that was my inner awareness speaking to me. And because if I had gone, then I would have been quarantined in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So lucky me, here I was in the in my home, comfortable, safe and secure family with people to support me. So that's how being in tune with that greater awareness of your capacity of tuning into the theta brainwave, then you are able to get those messages to take care of yourself in brand new ways. Kathryn, over to you.
No, absolutely. Well, this is the shift because we're coming from being in reaction to what's happening in the world, right? We are moving into being conscious creators. This is the stuff that you and I have been talking about for a long time. And then the other thing that's been coming up is cause and effect. And most people are living at the effect of the world. And even in consciousness, and the people in consciousness, they're like, oh, there's this thing happening. I'm afraid. How do I counter it? But now what is really happening in this big change as we're meeting it, and this is what you're talking about, this is what you always taught me, is moving from being at the effect of our outer environment into being the cause and that wave that creates the change in the environment. And I think that all the consciousness people are rising up. And literally, there are people on the call that I would have to say, well, one, I think we all were born for this time because we're here at this time, right? So this is perfect. But there are people who I really feel like we're called to help usher in this new age that we're in. Absolutely. And this is really what we're standing on. It's not how do we survive. And we've actually got another idea beyond surviving and thriving. And we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. Hey, Asara, I wanted to, oh my God, I touched my face. But that's the joke. And I'm so sorry, guys. I know this is serious, but we do joke. I want to tune in to everybody on the call here. And I wanted to, if you could type into here, who's on the call because they want to be in control of their financial destiny. If that's you, type 1. Or who's on the call tonight because you see the changes and maybe you feel afraid and you want to meet the challenges ahead of us with courage and grace. That's a 2. And hey, who are my rebels on the call? I'm going to raise my hand. Who's the rebel on the call who wants to make a real, meaningful change in the world and free others from debt, slavery, and from being under the control of a few billionaires? I mean, I'm like, who's that? Number 3. And who are the healers, the coaches, change makers, and artists on the call who want to bring restoration, healing, and freedom? And if all of that sounds like you, go all, type in all. So Asara, I am seeing someone said all, 1, 2, oh yeah, 3, oh yeah, and 4, all. I'm getting goosebumps. We got a powerful group of people here. None of us came here to mess around, did we? We did not come here to mess around. We are not here to come here and pet you and make you just feel better and let you know everything's going to be okay. But I got good news because everything's going to be okay. You know why? Because we have not only the best minds on the job for what we're facing now, we have got the best hearts and soul on the job too, and that's you. So thank you so much for being on this with us. So Asara, can you tell, I guess my preaching, my call for a preach coming up because I feel passionate about this.
Yes, exactly. So, we're going to, a little bit later on, we're going to tune more into the money. Let's about how to keep yourself safe financially right now. But let's talk more about some of the inner dynamics of change. We are all responsible for creating this experience that we are going through. So, we talked about how does this experience elevate us into that greater consciousness of what we have been claiming we have always wanted. We have claimed that we wanted peace in the world. We have claimed that we want to reorganize the structure, like you were talking about, of finances. We have claimed that we want to solve the dynamics of the weather and the conditions of our planet. So everybody, guess what? As you think about something and put your attention on it, it will appear. It's 100% certain that what you are thinking and what you are wanting, it will appear. And so
I'm having a little trouble on the line. There's somebody whose microphone is open, and I apologize, Asara. Let me try
looks
to
like Chris.
mute everyone.
Yeah, it looks like Chris.
Yeah.
So
Chris, do me a favor, and there we go. This is not letting me control because we've got so many people on the call. So just a minute. But go ahead, Asara. Keep going, and I'm going to work on this on my side.
So we are master manifestors. So we have created the virus coming and shutting down the economy in the United States and isolating ourselves and withdrawing from the normal activities of everyday life. So all of the spiritual teachings and spiritual masters throughout the ages always say that it is not possible to continue doing the same thing until you disrupt that thing that you're doing. And so the disruption from your ordinary habit and what you're used to doing and changing it into an opening for an opportunity. So you have to stop the direction that it's been going unconsciously. And I'm curious as to how many of you are experiencing this kind of shift, that are staying at home or shifting the routines that you're going through. The subconscious mind loves to keep a routine. So it wants to keep going in the same pattern that it's been going in. And now we're worldwide, worldwide, all throughout our country, all throughout our states, all throughout our cities, all throughout our homes, we're being told you have to reorganize your unconscious behavior. You don't get to just go out and have coffee with somebody or walk down the street or go to the store and buy, something that you think you need at one of the, retail stores. So how is that affecting you? So give us some feedback. How are you going through that? What have you noticed about making that change of being redirected in your attention of how you're supposed to be living every day?
Okay, and I'm going to look through the chat a little bit. And I wanted to mention too, guys, that Lauren is also kind of in the background helping out with the chat. So she may be answering some questions. I like what Rhonda wrote. She's always so smart. She said, what's most important is coming up to the surface. What really matters. Talk about a massive pattern interrupt. And Carla's saying she's been doing her best to surrender and having a lot of emotions come up. Yeah, surrender.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and let's see, Rhonda was asking, how can this elevate us into an elevated consciousness? Great question, Rhonda. It is the opportunity to absolutely tune into that greater part of yourself. And that's what we process with the one command and the 6-step technique. When I roll my eyes up and I go into theta, I'm going into the quantum field, I'm going into the open potentiality. In the open potentiality, there is health, there is wellness, there's material good, there's every answer to every question. There's new ideas and new solutions when you go into the theta mind. When you're in the theta mind, you're in a state of coherence. In a state of coherence, you're resonating at a higher frequency, and that higher frequency that you're resonating at is transformative. It's transformative in the DNA and the cells of the body. It's transformative in taking action in a brand new way for the results that you want in the world. And so what else do you have to do right now except watch TV or read a book or talk on the phone? Or you can do some one commands every day, go into this higher level of consciousness, get your neurons and your neurology and your biology in alignment with a higher state of awareness. You can do, conference calls like we're doing. How can you serve others from the state that you're in where you are? How can you contribute out in the world from the place that you're in? Because it's a we, it's not an I, it's a we. So everyone is me. I am not alone. We are all connected. We are all each other. You are me, I am you. And we can connect in at that level rather than the ego structure of me, I. How do I get it? What's in it for me? What should I do next? Those are all questions that will never elevate you, never ever elevate you into a higher level of consciousness, because the I, me, mine, judgment about myself, my worthiness, my feelings of conflict or not doing it well enough, or how do I get it done better, or how can I connect with people? all of those doubtful thoughts and feelings are you expressed from your subconscious lower level vibration. So when you're expressing from the doubts and fears, you are not transforming and you are not evolving. You know, the old way we used to talk about it was that you have to go into knowing what your pattern is, knowing the difficulties of your childhood and the problems that you went through, and the sorrows that you experienced. And when you concentrate on all of those problems about yourself, you'll never elevate you. It's like getting into the fourth level of consciousness with the mind. So you're into the mind, but you're not into the fifth or sixth level of consciousness where you're into the heart, and then you're into the illumination. And you only get into the heart and into the illumination by service to others through your thinking, if not your actions. How can I know that others are safe? How can I command that? We're going to be doing lots of commands before we're over today. But that is how you elevate consciousness, is by focusing on the desire to be in an elevated state of consciousness. And it's an arduous task. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for you to say, oh, I'm going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. Oh, maybe I'll do it. Oh, I did it and it didn't work. None of that is relevant to getting that elevated state of awareness alive within you. You want it to be alive in your brain, alive in your body, alive in your DNA, alive in your expression of yourself out into the world, so that you are that embodiment of that practice, of that ideal within you, that you are the truth seeker of that ideal within you.
Yeah. And you're not only the truth, you are the truth. You know, there's this idea in our family, we've got this saying with the kids where we'll go, hey, listen, it's my job to keep you safe, right? And your job is to be safe, right? So now we are the keepers and the beings, right? We are the keeper for others, and we have to be that field of resonance that we want people to meet, right? And you have to be in that curious, open state of mind, because, you know, if you are looking out into the world now, like, oh, one, you've got to accept it is not going to be the same. But right now, in ordinary thinking, and here's the way I think about it, it's like we kind of we'll look out to the future, we peer out, but we're looking out through a warped lens. And it's that warped lens of the conditioned mind. And we're standing on the shores of a world that no longer exists. And we have to come into this new mind and create a whole new lens. And if you don't know how can you create it? Well, the thing is, there's a part of you that knows, and that is your greater intelligence. And the way to access it is through that theta brainwave. But you have to be willing to let go of what would be familiar. But the thing is, there's some things that you do love and you care about and you treasure, and you will, I think that we will replicate those, right? I think about Starship Enterprise, which is one of my favorite analogies right now. And I think about, Jean-Luc Picard, and he goes to his replicator, and what does he ask for? Earl Grey tea, right? It's about 300 years old. And so we're going to be replicating what serves us and what will continue to serve us. And then we're going to let go of everything else. But we have to be willing to ask new questions, and we have to let go of that ego form. One of the things that we talk about, Asara, you were talking about, I wanted to kind of loop back to this. You were talking about, like right now we could be like watching Netflix and, TV, or, hey, finally, let's catch up on reading. A lot of people I'm talking to, they're cleaning, go, oh, finally I can organize. Finally, there's time for me. And so they're making room in their life. And usually when there's change, we go, well, there's change and everybody's uncomfortable. And if what people are used to doing when there's change is what they put in that unknown is fear. Okay. And the way their body will react is one of the four main ways is, they'll fight, flight, they'll get frozen, or the other is the other F word. And so, but what they wind up doing is they start effing around with, piddling with stuff that doesn't matter because they don't know what to do next. You thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? Yeah. But it's like, I don't know what to do. And so we had a beautiful call last night in the Commanding Wealth Circle. And it's like, yeah, I'm moving these boxes, but there's no energy and I'm tired and I'm overwhelmed. And I said, yeah, because on the, you don't, your big unknowns, on the other side of those boxes, then what? And that's your terror zone. So as long as you keep moving those boxes around, and that's what we've been mostly doing because we haven't known what to create or how to create it or how to think about it until now we're forced to, right?
Yes.
So what's on that other side? And then it was like, once we did the commands and it was like, oh yeah, it's going to be okay. And well, what about those boxes? Because I actually had her send the boxes up into theta and have them co-create with her and to reorganize into a new form that serves her. Right? So that here's this ordinary thing in your life and to reorganize it. And then I said, well, now when you think about these boxes and the low energy, what do you think? And she said, well, it's going to be okay. And I said, oh, so are you going to be okay? It's taken care of. I said, oh, it's taken care of. Could you say I'm taken care of? And that was the big shift. And the whole group, like, we're feeling chains break off, everything else. But we have to, in our new mind, we've got to know what to project into that gap. And then besides what it is that we want, which is to basically not die, I guess, right? But we go, well, I'd like to make more money. I want to make sure my house is secure, that people are taken care of. But we've got to think about on the other side, who do we want to be as a result and who must we be? So right now we're in this thing that looks bigger than us, but the truth is we're bigger than it. And it is actually a reflection of how big we really are. I've just been dying to say that, but it actually is that capacity. Like when you talk about in commanding wealth, when in commanding wealth, we'll talk about debt. Like, right. So if you go, well, if you're $300,000 in debt, that shows you actually have that capacity to have $1 million of your good arrive, right? Through the ratio of the golden mean. That's the same thing in this big worldwide pandemic and the financial systems, everything. Think of the magnitude of this, and we have 3 times that or more capacity within each one of us. I absolutely believe that's true.
Yeah. So and so a couple of things is like on the practical level. I recommend everybody read Dr. Bruce Lipton's articles on the coronavirus. He says it's been around forever. It's in every virus that we've ever had. And yes, there are people that have deaths. There's also 40,000 people that have died of influenza already that we've never even had reported, that we don't even think about anymore, that the cold season comes around and people die. So the thing that is shifted is a withdrawal from the system that you've operated on a daily basis. And when the stress shows up, if you get anxious or stressed out or fearful or depressed during this time, then you already are those things. You already are anxious and stressful and depressed. And you're now slowing it down enough to not cover it up. So there's no distraction to cover up where you are with yourself emotionally. And you have to also be respectful of keeping yourself in safe space and letting other people be in safe space, and knowing that when you're in safe space and letting other people be in safe space, the 6 feet away and the basic healthcare rules, then you are absolutely capable right now of being on a meditative retreat, of being on a spiritual retreat, of being on a place of awareness that there is no outer call. Now you might, as I said, later on we'll talk about what are some of the things that you can do with your mind, with creating money for yourself and commanding your wealth, that's a good place to put your attention. And why not? Now you've got all this time to do it. And so the attitude and feeling state that you have around you of your wellness, of your well-being, of your ability to be in a well-being state is your creation. That is up to you. Because when you're in your own home and you're sheltered at home, isn't that I love the name, you're sheltered at home,
Yeah.
so you're sheltered. And, here we are, we're so fortunate, we're so lucky. I mean, here we are, all of us that are on this call, we have a home to be sheltered in. So we're sending out that higher vibration of love to the people living on the streets and to the people that, don't have an opportunity to be 6 to 12 people in one room, right? That
Right.
they're living in one room. How are they going to shelter by themselves? They're not. So first of all, just be blessed, grateful for the opportunity that you have to be in your own environment that you have already created. And if you are not happy with your environment, then this is a time to think about how to improve it and redesign it, and to have it nurture you in the way that you want. And then you have the idea right now of looking at your beliefs and your values right now of how it is that you want to be in the world, as Kathryn was saying, on the other side of this. Because what's really, really interesting is that you have to think about it this way, that right now there is, it's like the locks, the Panama locks. So how do the Panama locks work? They put a big barrier down and they let all this water gather behind the lock or lower behind the lock. And so they have pressure, so that it's all this pressure. So right now we have this barrier that is down that tells us we have to redirect our energy. We're redirecting our energy. So as soon as that barrier lifts and we go back out into the world, and we go back into the world refreshed, relaxed, recharged, revitalized with new creative ideas, new ways of being with ourselves, new ways of thinking about what's possible for us. When we go back out in the world, that is like that is like the compression of the car pedal, that
Mm-hmm.
putting down on the compression moves the car forward. Well, when those gates are wide open, there's just going to be an amazing flood of activity and people back out on the streets, back out in retail stores. Everything that's been backed up, that's been disallowed to be expressed, is going to express in a quantum way. So that means that everything that you are preparing yourself for, to allow yourself to be ready for that expression, maybe it's another 6 weeks, maybe it's another 3 months, but whatever it is, then you're going to be ready to receive it in you, in your
Yeah.
business. You're going to be able to receive it for you and your good. In your relationships, you're going to be able to receive it for you and your good and your elevated awareness of consciousness.
Yeah. We're not going to be getting back to anything. We're going to be going forward. And now's the time to say, hey, what do you want to go to? Right? Even if it's back to the same office or the same work or whatever you were doing before, you can't go back the same way, because then it'll just all start over. You know it, and you don't want it to be that way. Right? And I think about how the earth is replenishing, and just as the earth is already replenishing, in just a few weeks, think what's going to happen to you. You're already going to be more rested. Your mind is going to be more at ease, be more expanded. And then you'll have more choices when we're under that strain of our ordinary life, and we're, just dealing with what's next, and we're on that hunt for the next thing. Our mind's very contracted, and we're in that survival mode all the time. So this is like the greatest gift. Everyone says, gosh, I've been wanting a vacation. I said, yeah, I guess the earth put us in quarantine, didn't it? It put us in timeout so it could have what it needed. Um, Sarah, I want to talk about identity for a second. And why wealth identity matters, like why in the world we would keep talking about that stuff, because we are talking about consciousness. Asara and I always talk about it. And we were talking about this mind state and what we're creating and the way we're thinking about things. And up until now, and what's been changing, it's been this love, right? I'm going to be altruistic, I'm going to help, or I'm going to seek money. It's like these two parts of our brain, okay? And I did a 2-day or a 2-part conference recently called Step Into Your True Wealth Identity that was part of the 5-day challenge. And I did some research for that because I wanted to see what is the deal with the brain. What's the difference between a rich brain and, you know, like why are healers and coaches and teachers broke? We give so much service. Why are the good people of the world who really don't care about money suffering? It seems like they would just get their needs met. And there were some interesting things that I found. One, on the people who have that money, like they really enjoy the money game. They like the looks and smell of money. By the way, I've got cash on my desk that I've been playing with and everything, because people are so disconnected from it. But they are, you know, they do think about themselves, but they understand it from the perspective of, hey, unless I take care of me, I can't take care of anyone else. I'm not going to be any good to anyone. And then the other thing is that they seem to be more self-starters, and they take on that responsibility. Okay. Now, the people who are the more heart-centered people, the good giving people of the world, and who love to help, they take on a lot, but they put themselves last. And so they're not really in that clean energy exchange of, yeah, I'm at service, here's why I'm doing it, and where they're clear, like we have that need to help. But it actually it turns out that they're not quite the self-starters, and there's a little lack of self-sufficiency there. So even if you want to keep being a helper, even if you want to keep, you know, doing good and having an impact in the world, you've got to have that balanced brain of, you know, of a healthy money mindset and a healthy heart mindset. Okay, I'm gonna call it a healthy heart set. Okay, I just made that world up. There's our new book, Asara, The Healthy Heart Set. But to where they're balanced, that's what theta does, and through that coherence. So it's not love or money, it's money to serve the greater good, and we've got to find that enjoyment. And you know, healers and teachers and the good people of the world, they don't put their attention on there, and whatever we put our attention to tends to grow, but what we don't put our attention to, we suffer. And so we've been kind of willing to hand that over to someone else, and now it's time for us to take that back. And I was just wondering if you have anything to add to that. Am I off track? What's your opinion on that?
So I love what you're saying. I always love what you're saying. You have so many brilliant things that you say in such a beautiful way. And yes, I want to add to that. So how do you lift yourself up into another level of awareness and another level of consciousness around your money and around your finances and around your financial security? And how do you lift up your values to that place where you allow that idea of financial good being a natural right? The financial good is just, and it's part of nature. Nature is bountiful. You tune into nature and be bountiful. So the first, you know, answer to that question is to have a higher value of why you would receive money. So for example, I was working with an organization that's a worldwide organization, and they're working in being able to create another level of evolved consciousness in business and health and institutions and governments around the world. And one of the things they were saying, well, we don't really care about the money. And I was saying, well, I'm sorry, but you need 50 to $100 million to be able to create this organization that you're wanting to create. So the allowing 50 to $100 million to be in your reality, in your DNA, and in you is what's necessary for you to allow this worldwide organization that is going to, bring in millions of people in millions of groups all around the world to be focused with an intention of bringing into a next level of wellness and health and prosperity for all of us, where we're again going to be breaking out of the traditions of the past and the norms of the past, of the lack of power from the people. So the power of people will be people being engaged with using their power.
That's
the
right.
power of the people is being engaged in using their power. And so the power that you have within you is to have a value that says, I wish to serve, and it's good for me to be financially well off to serve from that place, from that state of awareness. If you have, $5 in your pocket, you can't donate anything to anybody. You can't go out. You can go out and do physical good, no matter if you're broke and have zero money.
Mm-hmm.
And many people in lower incomes are the most generous people in the world. I mean, you have wonderful stories of people that have very little money. They don't hardly make their rent every month, but they cook rice and beans and go out and give it to the homeless on the streets.
Yep.
So you have so many stories of compassion and caring. So it's about, again, getting out of your ego of what's about me, am I deserving, is that good enough? Those questions, we're going to just, those are old questions. We're over with those questions.
Yeah.
If you're still asking yourself those questions, I love the Bob Newhart little video. Stop it. Just stop it. Don't ask yourself those questions anymore.
It's part of that effing around, Asara. We're moving boxes because we don't know what's on the other side, right? Quit effing around.
Elevate your consciousness. Elevate your consciousness. I mean, it's true. You have to have what you know is your highest value, and then align with it.
Mm-hmm.
You align with it. You're going to align with that which is your desire to create, and that's why we come into the second step of aligning in the heart. That we're aligning with this part of us that allows us to love ourselves in prosperity, to love ourselves in a receptivity of receiving good. Healers, it's the hardest thing for healers to receive help and good from others. Learn to receive. Givers are the worst people for receivers.
Yeah.
So because there's a psychological positioning that we're talking about with the identity, where you're psychologically identified with being a giver. And it's not that you're not willing to receive it, it's just you don't have the DNA. You do not have the DNA to be a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not getting your good coming to you, you're not receiving your wealth coming to you, your money coming to you, your resources coming to you. Command, I don't know how, I am a receiver. My DNA knows how to receive. It's safe to receive. I receive good, and I enjoy receiving good, and I am supported in receiving that good. And so you have to intend it, align with it, and then just believe it and know it so that it's locked in. You have to believe it and know it. There's 5 steps of spontaneous healing. And in the 5th step of the 4th step, I think it is that the 4th step of spontaneous healing is that everybody that had a spontaneous event believed absolutely that it was possible and that it was done without a shadow of a doubt. And then the 5th step was knowing that it was greater than themselves.
Right.
And so again, I don't know how it's greater than me. I don't know how I'm greater in my capacity to think about receiving greater good. And what are the commands that you can go through while you're at home working with your inner psychology? I don't know how it's shown to me what's good to release. I only know it's shown to me what I need to release. I don't know how it's, I don't know how I have an awareness of a
Mm-hmm.
greater light in me, of how I have an awareness of a greater capacity in me. So I only know I have an awareness of a greater capacity in me. So
Mm-hmm.
we're not saying that you have to spontaneously um, go into satori or
Yeah.
illumination or enlightenment, in an instant. And of course you can. It's
Mm-hmm.
welcome if you do. That's great if you do. And you can train your brain, train your mind. Just one of these singing shows the other day, one of the people that are judges was saying about the falsetto voices that all the singers use. And she was saying, I had to train myself to sing in that falsetto. That was not natural to me. I didn't know how to have that falsetto. And I used to sit in my car and practice in my car to sing in a falsetto voice. So again, laziness, I don't believe there's any such thing as laziness, but I believe that there is a lack of pure desire
Mm-hmm.
that leads to taking the simplest of steps, particularly with the one command, because it's not any force and it's not any effort.
Mm-hmm.
It's simply saying, this is what I want, and then receiving it when you get it, and then change, and then you will change, and then you change biologically and neurologically. So you're waiting for that neurological, biological change. That becomes your new ground of being. I am a person that receives money easily. Yes, I am a person that receives thanks easily. I am a person that receives gratitude easily. And it's already within you to be
Yep.
able to give that to other people, that you already give money, you already give gratitude, you already give thankfulness to other people all the time. Receive it for yourself.
Right. One thing I did not mention at the start that I am going to be sharing a little bit about, hey, some of the ways that you can learn to do that. And we'll be talking about a program that's coming up. Sarah, one of the things like in this identity and what you were talking about so brilliantly, um, and that what do I need to let go of? I started walking around the last few months and going, hey, I don't know what new idea I have to, I don't know what new idea I must have in order to change my circumstances. I only know I have the right ideas right now, and they are enlivened in me, right? And so I just kind of was in this curiosity. I don't know what the right mindset is. I don't know what the mindset I need to have in order to achieve what there's something in me that says I could have it, right? Because I keep working towards it. I desire it. So I don't know how to even align to that desire, right? I only know I am aligned to that desire. So, clearing is important, but what you and I, if you start working with this and you just start stating what it is that you want and you shift your focus to that and everything else dissolves, because in commanding wealth, it's taught we're creating from the invisible, and that invisible is at a higher vibration. So that mind that you must have, the money, you have to have the right relationships, the right habits or thought, or even the right desire, that you're at it's this other vibration of where you are, and it's impossible to see it now, but you get some clues through your hopes, wishes, and desires. Your hopes, wishes, and desires are greater than the threat outside of you, because it's that desire that's going to pull you more than I think need, and that survivor mode. Survivor, you'll get through, right? And thriving is there's mastery over your um, environment, and you're in control. Like when you would think about somebody who went to the desert and they planted, and they took what was that hand, and they planted and they turned it into a beautiful living place. Well,
Yeah,
actually, that's more of being a transformer than a thriver. And
yeah,
that's what we're really teaching
you
about.
were saying going from what was the other one?
We're
Striver,
we're
thriver.
going from survivor to thriver. Well, there's actually 4 levels, yeah, where we're in the survival, Then we're striving where we're working and there's effort, right? And then there's thriving, like, yeah, I'm doing good. It's not perfect, but there's some growth here. And that's where a lot of people kind of stay stuck, but they aren't quite where they want to be. And where we're actually moving into is being the transformers, where
Yeah.
we're taking that greater idea. Thank you for letting me walk back on that, because I got so excited sharing the idea. But where we're actually agents of change, just walking around being that person, right? Because that's
Yeah.
what in Power versus Force talks about. And we're in that higher vibration. If we really want this world to change, we've got to be that change. And this crisis is commanding that of us. It really is.
Yes. So again, we want to elevate everything that we're talking about into the field of knowing that you are empowered to make these changes. So one of the primary affiliations within yourself or intentions within yourself is like, okay, I know how to read, I know how to write, I'm good at it, I can read a book, I can drive a car. So there's certain things that you know, that you absolutely simply accept and you know. So I know without a shadow of a doubt, I know that this process works. I know that you have the capacity to create something new in your reality of what you don't have yet, but which you wish to experience. And I
Absolutely.
know that the first step in it is to believe that it is possible, to absolutely believe that, have the confidence and believe that you are empowered, that you are creating your reality, and that you have the power to create a new reality by being in the greater capacity of yourself in the theta mind, tapping into the quantum field, tapping into your open potential, and being able to create a command that then is downloaded into your own neurology, biology, and DNA. And so as you're believing that truth, you're believing that experience, and you have that experience a little bit at a time, and then sometimes you get it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, you acknowledge that you're having that experience. And so it's not like, oh, I hope this works. No, this works. So you work. You are the person creating the reality that you have right now. And when you're in theta, your theta mind listens to your commands. I don't know how I opened to being a total success in my movie career. I've seen Remy there. Hi, Remy. Because Remy, I had a dream about you getting a part, and
Oh.
I can't remember who it was. Like you were an actress. There was an actress that you were similar to. But anyway, Remy, I had this dream that you got a part. Yay, 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 yay.
Remy, I had you on my mind the other day too. I had to tell you, Asara, that's a confirmation. So, yeah, Remy, we're so glad you're here. We got the message to you.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, Remy is a classic example, darling, because you are so talented, and it's just you receiving that knowledge and belief and trust in yourself. So it's a done
Absolutely.
deal. It's a done deal,
Yeah.
girl. It's a done deal.
Oh, it's so exciting. Um,
So does that make sense to you, what I was saying, Kathryn, about knowing that you have to trust the process itself?
mhm. Well, and that comes from learning how to trust yourself and trusting the process, right? A lot of times people will go, yeah, here's the process. I think the process is probably great. I don't know how to trust myself to apply it correctly. I don't trust myself to, like, if I did go get all these riches, or if I were a leader, or I were doing whatever, I don't think I could trust myself to fulfill it. So I think people could believe that the process could work maybe for someone else, but they don't really know how to believe in themselves that it's possible, right? It's really more of a statement about them. Don't you think? It's not really about it works, just, because we're not asking them to have a faith in the process, because
Well,
it
you
works.
can't,
They don't need
okay.
faith. They have trust.
So
What
in
they need
there,
is faith in themselves.
So I know when you've got like this 8-week commanding wealth course coming up, and that's what you're doing is building the faith and the trust in the process to show people how to do it on a regular basis so that it becomes part of our nature, so that
Yeah.
it's as natural to trust this process to get a result as it is to sit down with a piece of paper and write out a list of pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to kind of segue here because Rhonda makes such an amazing contribution. But you know, the one of the this is one of my little personality ideas, Rhonda, and co-creating. I think is a weak word. That here's my philosophy of the one command: that you are 100% creator. You are 100% creator. You're 100% responsible for the results that you get. And you are in cooperation with other people or collaboration with other people. But there is nobody outside of you co-creating this, because you know, when you're co-creating, you might have to go ask God if it's okay. And he or she says no, then you don't get to have it. So you're saying there's a force outside of yourself that you have to get permission from to create something with. Or that, you know, if you're good enough, you're like asking that other power, that's a power that's greater than you,
Mm-hmm.
to actually help you to create something. So my philosophy, this is simply my philosophy and my teaching, and I'm glad you said this co-creation, because it came up in another dynamic where I guess it's going to be a theme I'm going to be talking about for a while now. That you are 100% a creator on your own right, because you are 90 billion times greater than your personality and your ego structure in your human body. And because you're 90 billion times bigger in that intelligence that you have, when you are in alignment with that and in coherence with what you're creating it in you. You're not creating it in the world. Don't get confused with law of attraction. This is not the law of attraction. You are creating it in you. You have to become that which you wish to experience. You have to become that successful actor or actress. You have to become that person receiving wealth. You have to become that person that is knowing they're connected to all people, that we're all one, that you are me and I am you. Therefore, if you are me and I am you, however you are seeing the other in a negative way, it's all you. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't exist except in your mind. It doesn't exist. You have to go back to the, you know, power of those real essential truths that are not human. They're really not human. They're really beyond, that's elevated consciousness. Having a not human truth is an elevated state of awareness and an elevated state of consciousness. And it's uncomfortable, or it's exciting, or it's a challenge, or it's an amazing, rewarding epiphany of wonderful results.
Mm-hmm.
But if you open your mind, open your heart, open yourself to these ideas that you create and you have the power to create, and that you can do it intentionally by commanding what you wish.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn off Doug, I'm going to turn off your I don't know what happened there. Somehow we keep Doug has jumped on. So absolutely, I love that. Asara, I got to share a testimonial that came in. We have a new friend, Susan Haro, and she wrote a letter. She sent it out to her group. She got so excited she promoted the call tonight. But she says, since being introduced to the One Command 2 weeks ago, I've lost 5 pounds. Welcomed 2 new clients. Now this is 2 weeks. All this mess has been going on in 2 weeks. Everything shut down, right? And 2 new clients, been invited to send in a proposal to a prestigious startup conference to coach the contestants, connected to 3 business associates who wanted to know better and work with one and sent a Facebook Messenger that she missed, but suddenly it popped back up. And then spoke up with my sweetie on a difficult issue with us that I hadn't been able to address before. Like everything just like when she got that idea, she just ran with it. I've got a question for you because I'm going to ask you to jump in the Wayback Machine for a second. This is a very simple, powerful process to clear patterns, issues, and beliefs running your life in the background, and it's an essential part of preparing transition from private to public persona for publicity and marketing, as well as inviting in new business, expanding your cash, business, whatever her business is, happiness and flow. She's on fire. She just got it and it lit up. So I loved what you were saying about being that actor, being the coach, being that thing, because that was the first shift I had to make, right? That, it doesn't matter what I'm doing for money. It has nothing to do with the essence of who I am. And as the minute I started aligning to that, one, money and opportunity just started shifting. The ideas started coming in, and then it was always just this next natural thing. And what was so surprising was like the world was like, oh, good, you got our message. Yeah, we've been waiting on you. We didn't know, like, wow, because all of a sudden there were people and groups and, like the client roster filled up fast. And that was my experience with it. And it came from that commanding wealth. But I'm back in the early days, there was a story you told about when you discovered how money was everywhere and you started playing with it. Do you remember the story I'm telling? The one about the water? But you just had like this magical few days when you started playing with that new idea about you being a creator. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. I mean, yeah, you mean conversations with Cash and Cash
Well,
being.
no, when you were you told a story about how you realized that money was literally everywhere. You started kind of having you were having this conversation, like you tapped into that. But it was really a new conversation with you. But when you went, wow, money's everywhere, that's cool. And then you went through this period of money just kind of like appearing, and you were at a picnic. Do you remember? And the one about the
Oh,
water?
yes, yes.
Yeah, the Wayback Machine. Yeah,
Oh
guys.
yeah, Wayback Machine. Yeah, I will tell that story. But I've got a response here again from Rhonda on the co-creating, and she said um, that if what she was calling co-creation was that somebody else was doing it and you were helping them do it, or they were doing it and you were supporting them doing it, and that was co-creation. But so yeah, witness to someone else is creating. So basically here's what happens with the ego structure. Let me say it this way. Yes, witnessing is not co-creating. Witnessing is being in the superpositioning. We talk about being the observer. So witnessing and the observer are very much of the same nature. So that means that you're in a higher state of awareness, of being in alignment, and that more of us that are in alignment, we are getting in alignment here. So that the more of us that are in alignment with which we wish to create a better result, then the power of 8 with Lynn McTaggart, she talks about it. So yes, when you're in alignment with someone else, then you are not co-creating with them. You
Mm.
are in alignment within yourself of that frequency. So the reason, again, with co-creating is that the ego is a little kid and wants to receive ice cream every time that something good happens for themselves and someone else.
Yeah.
So what the ego says is, I want to be part of that good success over there, and I want to be recognized for it. I want to feel it in me that I made a contribution to it. I want to be recognized for helping that person succeed. And so that's what we're all like that. I definitely go through it. Everybody goes through it. So how do you elevate that is that it is 100% their creation,
Mm-hmm.
and you are 100% in alignment with their creation. And so the we energy occurs when we have all of us finally dissolve into one intention where we're all served, and we're not in the ego of I did that, you did that, we did that. It is giving,
Mhm.
it is done. It
Right.
is being done, not by any of us. We are not doing anything. We are being in alignment. And through that alignment, we are sending out a frequency of energy and a passion and love and intention. And through that alignment, that energy, passion, love, and attention is being received in the world, and it is training the world what that experience is.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Completely different. It's a completely
Totally different.
different approach, a
Yeah.
completely different approach. And I hope that makes sense to you, Rhonda. So again, it's elevating your consciousness to a next level of letting whoever is creating what they're creating and noticing what the emotions are. Oh, I wish I was doing that. Oh, that's so good that they're doing that. Oh, I'm happy they're doing that. Oh, yes, I helped them do that. I want recognition for it. So taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
And there's many manifesting of prosperity stories that I certainly can tell. And that one was, I had just began having conversations with Cash, and in it said Cash is everywhere. Cash is like the pebbles in the water, underneath the water. Cash is like the mushrooms in the forest, just blossoming and growing like in your bank vaults without you paying any attention. And I ended up going to the beach with some friends and my dog, and we went in the lake, and we were diving in the lake, and I came up with $1 bill. And then another person next to me said, look, there's there's some more money. Look, there's more money. Look, there's more money. And so we ended up collecting about, $50, $60 from the lake.
Mhm.
And I just cracked up. I mean,
Mhm.
it was like an amazing, absolutely amazing manifestation. And then this other manifesting story, the power of manifesting, the power that you have of how you're creating it. And it was like the conversation with Cash, and Cash showed up to tickle me, to show me that what this little teaching about how you can have a wonderful, loving relationship with Cash, and Cash will love you back. And so, um, another great story was a gentleman was up in Alaska, and they were parked their car by a beach way out by themselves, and then they had to go through like the tide, which was out, and then go climb up some rocks, and then go do some rock climbing. And so they were gone, for 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, and they finally came back, and they went to get in the car, and he couldn't, and the key was not in his pocket. He couldn't find the key. He had lost the key to the car. No cell service. You could think, okay, this is such a horrible, terrible
Mhm.
experience. I'm lost in the wilderness. No one knows exactly where we are. Right. And he went up and commanded, I don't know how I find this key. I don't know how this key's in my pocket again. I don't know how this key reveals itself to me. And so they started walking back on the path, and he just was like, he kept kind of going up, and then he would go back. Then he was looking, and finally he saw a little shiny light in the water. And he went over and walked in the water up, like, to his knees, reached down and picked out the key in the water.
Yep. I remember that an event. I've actually found lost keys in the water too. Well, the reason I wanted to make that point about your conversations and what happened with our friend and what happened with you is, as you're creating, the environment literally rises up to meet you, and it changes. We have that impact, right? I mean, it
Yes.
literally, there's no sphere. And so he looked for a key. You looked, and you weren't even looking for cash. You were just like, wow, I guess cash is everywhere. And some part of your mind accepted it, even though intellectually you might have said, yeah, I could believe it's there. But there's like, yeah, I mean, I believe it, but there's some part of you that really grabbed a hold of it. And that's what the power of working in the theta mind is. It's even beyond your ordinary thinking, And because I've had manifestations of when I laughed out loud at the command, I went, well, that's stupid. That's really going to happen, right? But I knew, I trained my mind to just grab a hold and believe when I said it is so. I don't know how it's happening. I only know it's so now, and I'm fulfilled. I just accept that I can't know how that part of me knows, right? That
Exactly.
part of me just does it. So
Yeah.
whether
That's
I,
part of, and every one of us has that part of us that just knows, that wants to just do it within us. Once we stop the, negative thinking, the limited thinking, the fearful thinking,
mm-hmm,
trying to understand it. Understanding is kind of the booby prize. You just want to go experience it.
yeah,
Yes, knowledge is great. I love the science. I love to learn knowledge. But when and the knowledge simply is the support for what you already know,
mm-hmm,
so you want
yeah.
to, yeah.
You're like, oh, that's how that happened. That's why that happened. That made sense. So, the way we naturally learn is something happens, then we try to make sense of it, and then we get that outer evidence and instruction, and then our experience matches it, right? And then that grows the understanding. Um, Asara, I have one more testimony I want to share, and then I want to open it up for some questions. I think
Yep.
you've been so generous. And then we're going to turn off the recorder, and we've got some commands just for everybody who stays to the end. But I wanted to take a minute to let people know about the Commanding Wealth Program. Is now a good time, or did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Well, one, I got to tell this one more testimonial because I had the pleasure of doing some interviews. And one of them is with Estella, who she's been a longtime friend of the One Command. She was one of the first people I worked with. And she said, she'd gotten this like $350,000 award in this lawsuit after it had already been denied in appeal. And like, it was like, okay, she guessed it was over. And we did a restoration command. And then she got a letter with less than 2 weeks awarding her all the money that she was told that she wasn't going to be getting, plus all the fees and the penalties and everything else. And so we were talking about it in an interview, and she said, oh, by the way, Kathryn, did I tell you that I earned over $300,000 at the casinos last year? I went, no, you didn't tell me that. She said, yeah, I do the One Command all the time. And what she revealed was that it really wasn't so much of this special command. What she really aligned to is the fact that she was a winner. And whatever she decided to do, she was going to win. And so that's how she came to that. Isn't that great? Now,
Yes.
yeah, I'm not a gambler. That's no fun to me. I'm just going to tell you, I won't ever be one of those people. But besides playing cards and having a drink with the girls, that's fun to me. But the other isn't. But I wanted to invite everybody. Lauren, if you could go ahead and paste the link into the chat bar, I'm going to be sending the link to you. But this Friday is actually the start of the Commanding Wealth program. This is an 8-week program that that I've taken the 3-day experience and expanded it into 8 weeks so that the teaching's broken down and there's more time to integrate it. There's time to think about it. When this when I have the 3-day experience, it is very intense and it's life-changing because you're entering this new world. And this is more of a way to integrate and train your mind. And so that's what we're doing. And I'm so used to the royal we, but I always feel like it's Asara and I, because Asara is the original creator of the One Command process. You live in my heart every day. And created the Commanding Wealth program, and I have had the privilege of teaching this course for over 10 years, and now it's being updated and brought out into technology so that it can become part of your regular practice. So I am offering to the group tonight, if you sign up by Friday at noon, because all the paperwork's dropping at 3, guys. for the first module and the first call that is on April 2nd. So if you register by noon, you will receive 2 full sessions with me, which is a $500 value. We do a session before the program and a session after the one before, so that you have an idea of what that clarity is, what it is that you want to really work on, and what your focus is, clarity on your goals, but also what programs that you want to change and what those outcomes, winning outcomes look like. And then on the other side of it, once you've gone through your transformation, then what would be a good working plan? What are your next steps afterwards? And so I've got it designed a special way, but I can only I'm actually had pulled this offer, and I only brought it out for this group because I am so excited about this program. This is 8 modules. The way this is set up, I'm just going to go ahead and explain it briefly, but you get all of the teaching of the one command process. We have the exercises, but it's about training your mind to accept the new programming instantly going into that theta brainwave, so that, just like I said, well, it's like, hey, your ordinary thinking may argue, but that part of you is absolutely on board with your good, and it absolutely just takes charge. When Asara and I were in the early days of the one command, and we're going, oh, we're creating this program and we're doing this stuff, I felt like, and this comes back to Rhonda, I said, I feel like the one command's talking to me, this thing that we're creating, that we want to get out into the world, the way for it to happen. I feel like I'm having this other conversation. So my intuition was guiding me, and then there would be things that would happen with Asara. Like literally I'd be like, I just feel like we need to do a podcast. She said, that is so weird, because I got an email this morning from someone who's inviting us to a podcast, right? Just one thing after another. So you get into this incredible alignment with what it is that you really want, because most people live from that striving, trying to push a rock up the hill and make it happen and willpower through. And this is just being in that cooperative relationship. So we're going to be teaching you how to do that. I have there'll be audio recordings, like little lessons that you get every week. Then there's a live call, and then I've made sure that there are transcripts and the audio modules so that you can listen to it. I love podcasts and listening to things at night or when I'm out walking, and then this way you can listen to the lessons and listen to the call replays. By doing that, you'll be getting copies of all the slides and templates, because people love, I love like looking at it and having it there. And sometimes I'll play the PowerPoints as a movie, and just to reinforce the idea, but then there's plenty of worksheets to help reinforce the ideas. And then I have a private members community that is off the Facebook platform. For privacy reasons, a lot of people are wanting to move away from Facebook, and so I have this on our own private platform that is only us together, the people who are in the course, so that we have safety and privacy, and that we have a place that we can absolutely support one another. Then I have a members only vault. I have about probably 10-15 years of course material that I have not known who to give it to or what to do with it, and I want to give it to you. And so these are courses that have to do like working with the energy body through the 7 chakra coaching, where I take you right through your body's energy system, and each chakra level energy center is cleared and reset and activated, so that you're getting that energetic coherence, working with gosh, now the Asara, I've completely gone blank on how many programs that we would have in there, but I have these 78 calls that are a bonus that were called a connection to greatness, and I have a commanding greatness. It is about you as a leader and authority in the world in your own right, and in the connection to greatness.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in because they're so beautiful. They're all nice MP. You got videos, you have audios, and the things that you're gonna cover are like the 10 essential money mind shifts. to increase your income,
Everything.
how to dissolve your money blocks and allow your wealth to flow in, and to create that unwavering confidence in yourself and your success, and how to deal and erase self-doubts and sabotage,
Hmm.
all of those. And, the uh,
And
three
in,
three reasons you must be rich.
yeah,
There's all kinds of money making practice beliefs that you get tapped into, that you get to download into your DNA, and learn to become these experiences, and how to be wealthy beyond your comfort zone, where you're really understanding that you deserve it, that you deserve the wealth that you're seeking, and that you know how to ask for money, and you
yeah.
know how to receive it, again, receiving that money.
Yeah, and this is from, every time this course has ever been taught, it's always been people of all walks of life who've attended this, and mostly it's been people who are in business in one way or another. Maybe they just have the business of being a healer in the world, but the focus on this has to do with you as a business creator, and getting comfortable with those different parts of your business that make you uncomfortable, and really getting into mastery. And also, what you learn in this program is how to go from a really great idea and turn it into a working plan very quickly. So there's a lot of skills that go, that's even, that go, because I'm so practical minded. It's like, yeah, we're going to do that. How does that make that happen? Or what would be a real life example? And so I get to pull from my repertoire and all the years of coaching that I've got to enjoy, and be in the mastermind. I've been in $1 million masterminds, and pull in all of those strategies too. So this is not just a class. This could be probably closer to a cross between a mastermind, where we're actually supporting each other. We're contributing, like when you see what Rhonda was doing tonight in the chat, where she's taking those notes and then she's asking for feedback. It is an interactive experience. And when I do these, we have the program, but then the live calls are not just recorded calls. This is me and you addressing exactly what's up with you. What are your questions? And then I tune into the group consciousness, because there's something that you don't know that you need, that gets pulled out of me, and that teaching naturally arrives between us. And we've got so many testimonies, but that's pretty well it. Like I said, I'm going to be sending you a link on after this. Be sure and go to the program page, that you'll be able to see all of the details here. So thank you for letting me share that piece. I'm going to stop the share right now. Thank you, Sarah, for helping me on that. I get so excited about this. You
Oh,
work on stuff, and
this
you will go, oh my God,
engagement,
I did all this stuff. I want you to come
it's
look,
like,
guys.
yeah, no, investing with you is like investing in a diamond mine.
Thank you. Well, we
It
have
makes you
some.
rich.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And Lauren has posted into there the link for the webinar, and then I am going to be sending out to everyone the recording. But I want to throw it open to any questions or comments, either about what you've heard tonight, or if there's any questions about the commanding wealth. But we're just going to throw it open, Asara, and I cannot see you because I've got the chat open. So I'm going to start reading through here, okay? Thank you, Rhonda. Rhonda says, Kathryn, you're an amazing coach. I loved working with you. And Carla Bristow says, what if I don't know what's next for me? So Carla, does that mean as far as career-wise, or help me with your question? Okay. Yes, career-wise. Okay. And so what are you doing for a living now? And Carla, I'm going to go ahead and tap onto you just for a minute, guys, and see, unemployed. Okay, good. All right.
Well, Lila says that 3 Easy payment link is not active.
Oh, guys, let me send me a message and I will make sure. Thank you, because that should be active. Send a message to me. I'm going to type into the bar my email, the big vision coach at gmail.com. That's what happens when you don't have a professional. I am not a professional web builder. I thought I could handle that. But send a message to me and I will send you the correct link for the 3-pay option. I will take care of it tonight for you. And Lauren's saying neither payment link works. Thank you guys. So I don't know. I'm going to have to jump on that and I'll get that resolved. But please send an email to me right now and let me know that you're interested. I will get the link fixed and get that out to you. Also, I have a link posted that's to schedule a time to speak with me. And I've got that posted in the chat bar too. Okay. Golly, that worked for me today. So I love you guys. Thank you. I didn't know I wanted that payment link to be inactive right now. And we'll get that. So 3 easy payment. Lila, I will make sure. If you want me to send you just yeah, thank you, Lila, for checking on that. Thanks, Kathryn. Great talk. Be sure and send a message to me. My email is thebigvisioncoach@gmail.com. You can also click on the Calendly link and contact me personally if you have any more questions about the program. So Carla, what if you don't know, right? Well, you can command to know. So I don't know how I don't know how I have the next idea. I don't know how I have clarity on my next steps. And then, right now you're still kind of in that reactive and unwinding is my sense of that. And so if you did know, how would you know? And if you had the right career, what would it look like? And so sometimes building those parameters ahead of time will start to form what the next thing is. So right now, there's some resistance and maybe a little resentment around the situation, maybe a little shame, a little negative energy stopping you. So command for the solution to arrive. So command for the right opportunity to be clear to you. Okay? So anything to add to that, Asara? Okay. Oh, let me unmute you. Wait a minute, Asara, you're mute. Up. You got muted.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, I am so looking forward to the commands. I think that you've just delivered such an amazing, we've just been able to share so many good ideas with the whole group. And I am so excited to have some of the older friends that I haven't seen or heard from in a
I
while,
know.
like
Thank you
Cindy
so
and
much.
Lila and Rhonda and Akiko came in from Japan.
Yep.
She's a woman that's a beautiful woman that has attended many workshops in Japan. She's got to be like at 2 a.m. in the morning or something to be on this call.
Our sweetheart Alex Wren is on the call, and sweet Alex is on there, and oh my gosh, Teresa and Susan, and of course our sweet Remy and Steve Arns, and so many of you folks. Oh, thank you guys so much. I have to say, Asara, because of the people that we've had the pleasure of serving, we truly are the richest people in the world. And your wealth is through relationships. And the whole thing with the commanding wealth, I have to say, it starts with that right relationship with you and your cash rich mind. And once you establish that amazing relationship, the whole world will beat a path to your door and want to meet it. So, Asara, are you ready for some commands?
I am
I
so
am
ready.
so ready.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I promised I'm going to stop the recording, but if you want to be able to get on more commands, I want to do one little thing every week in the TOC Money Mindset Mastery group on Facebook. We have a wealth circle, and I'll make sure that you get an invitation to that too. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, okay?
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. And so I'm going to stop the recording.